Hi everyone, this is Lady T with Lady T Speaks TV, where we talk about relationships. I am coming to the end of a relationship series where we're talking about abusive relationships in an intimate relationship. And I talk intensively about a lot of different things. I'll probably end out talking about the effects of it for children that have parents that are in abusive relationships and how it affects them. But I wanted to come back on. I talked about today some things that are very pertinent for your information. Uh, I shared with you in two other videos previous to this one. I shared the prayers that work, that you can pray over your life in your situation, because, like I said, you're in close quarters with the abuser now, especially since we've been told to be in social distancing and we've been quarantined to our homes for a previous time amount of time. So this can intensify arguments, things like that. So I wanted to share some strategies, some information for you if you find yourself in this situation. And I gave you some coping mechanisms, some tools to use in the midst of this. Again, people can't always get out of situations like this right away. They don't have the means to get out. They don't have the money, the finances, or resources. So I wanted to give you something while you're there in the meantime that can be very helpful to you, in addition to praying and believing God for you to get out. So now that I've done that, you need exit strategies. You need a way to get out of there. You may not be able to get out right now, but you need to be planning a strategic plan of escape to get out of there when you are able. And this is the time to also do that, so that when you leave out of there, you'll never have to return again. So these are some things that I found out from helpguide.org. And I always research things out because these are things that have been proven to work. So as a person who researches, and I want to give you something that is going to work for you because it's worked for others. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why I give that information to you. And then you can also go look at it for yourself. So it's on healthguide.org. So why doesn't she leave? It's the question many people ask when they learn that a woman is suffering battery and abuse. But if you are in an abusive relationship, you know that it's not that simple. Ending a significant relationship is never easy. It's even harder when you've been isolated from your family and friends, psychologically beaten down, financially controlled, and physically threatened. If you're trying to decide whether to stay or leave, you may be feeling confused, uncertain, frightened, and torn. Maybe you're still hoping that your situation will change, or you're afraid of how your partner will react if he discovers that you're trying to leave. One moment you may be desperately want to get away, and the next you may want to hang on to the relationship. Maybe even blame yourself. You might even blame yourself for the abuse, or feel weak and embarrassed because you stuck around in spite of it. Don't be trapped by confusion, guilt, and self-blame. The only thing that matters is your safety. So you're going to keep yourself safe. And it was something, if you think about this, is a pattern here. You want to go, you want to stay. But you can't stay with a person who's abusive. So you have to have a strategy to get out, an exit plan. So if you're abused, remember this, so very important. You're not the cause of your partner's abusive behavior. You deserve to be treated with respect. You are not to blame for being battered or mistreated. You deserve a safe and happy life. Your children deserve a safe and happy life. You are not alone. There are people waiting to help you. There are many resources available for abused and battered women. I've given you those, some of those, including crisis hotlines, shelters, even job training, legal services, and child care. And you can start by reaching out to them. And again, I gave you that information, so referenced it in my earlier videos. You can see them on YouTube. Making this decision to leave an abusive relationship, as you face the decision to either end the abusive relationship or try to save it, keep the following things in mind. If you're hoping your abusive partner will change, they won't. the abuse will probably keep happening. Abusers have deep emotional and psychological problems. While change is not impossible, it isn't quick or easy. And change can only happen once your abuser takes full responsibility for his behavior, seeks professional treatment, and stops blaming you, his unhappy childhood, stress, work, his drinking, or his temper. If you believe you can help your abuser, it's only natural that you want to help your partner. You may think you're the only one who understands him or that it's your responsibility to fix his problems, but the truth is that by staying and accepting repeated abuse, you're reinforcing and enabling the behavior. Instead of helping your abuser, you're perpetuating the problem. If your partner has promised to stop the abuse, when facing consequences, abusers often plead for another chance, beg for forgiveness, and promise to change. They may even mean what they say in the moment, but their true goal is to stay in control and keep you from leaving. Most of the time, they quickly return to their abusive behavior once you've forgiven them and they're no longer worried that you'll leave. That's so important to remember. If your partner is in counseling or a program for batterers, even if your partner is in counseling, there is no guarantee that he'll change. Many abusers who go through counseling continue to be violent, abusive, and controlling. If your partner has stopped minimizing the problem or making excuses, that's a good sign, but you still need to make your decision based on who he is now and not the man you hope he will become. And that's for women as well. If you're worried about what will happen if you leave, you may be afraid of what your abusive partner will do, where you'll go, or how you'll support yourself or your children. But don't let fear of the unknown keep you in a dangerous, unhealthy situation. And remember, I told you, fear, anxiety, they go together. You can say they're cousins. They go together. They're both a spirit of fear. I told you that in 2 Timothy. We talked about that a little. But the signs that your abuser is not changing, and I talked about these things before, so I'll just go over two of them. He minimizes the abuse or denies how serious it really was. He continues to blame others for his behavior. So he blames you for his behavior. So safety planning for abused women. Whether or not you're ready to leave your abuser, there are steps you can take to protect yourself. These safety tips might be the difference between being severely injured or killed and escaping with your life. Know your abuser's red flags. Stay alert for signs and clues that your abuser is getting upset and may explode in anger or violence. Come up with several believable reasons you can use to leave the house, both during the day and night, if you sense terrible trouble brewing. So again, we know that we're in social distancing, but again, you can go outside. Everybody has a right to go outside. So you might have to move yourself from the situation. Oftentimes when a person are in the heat of an argument, if the other person removes themselves from the situation, it can help to de-escalate. So that's important to remember while you're in. But again, this is exit strategies. Identify safe areas. I told you that before in the beginning. If nowhere to go if your abuser attacks you or an argument starts, because it usually starts in an argument. Avoid small enclosed spaces without exits, such as closets or bathrooms. And I told you, if it has a window in the bathroom, you can get out that window. That's not a problem. Or rooms with weapons. You don't want to go anywhere where there's weapons, like a kitchen. If possible, head for a room with a phone and an outside door or window. So those are good things to remember now. Come up with a code word. So you need to establish a word, a phrase, or a signal that you can use for you and your children, your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers, whoever knows about the situation, and that'll let them know you're in danger and they can contact the police if you don't have access to do so. Make an escape plan. So be ready to leave at a moment's notice. And this is what you can be doing now. Since you're closed in with them, these are some things you can do now. You may not be able to write it on a piece of paper. You might be able to put it in a cell phone. Some people know how to write dictation, do it like that, or a word, use a letter for a word, whatever you can think about to do that. But here is, you keep your car, if you have a car, you keep it fueled with gas if possible. facing the driveway if you have one, with the driver's door unlocked. Hide a spare key where you can get to it quickly. Have emergency cash, and this everybody doesn't have emergency cash, but try to hold on to something if you're able to. Clothing, an important phone number, documents, stash in a safe place at a friend's house, for example. So you may not be able to hold things at home, but you can have your exit and strategy plan written out and give it to a friend that you trust or someone that you trust, and they'll hold on to it for you. They can even be the same person if you don't have a car that have a way to help you get out by transportation. They might have a car, somebody that has a car, and they can, pick you up from where you are. Also, practice escaping quickly and safely. Rehearse your escape plan so you know exactly what to do if under attack. And again, because you're in no close quarters, anything is subject to happen, but we're praying, we're believing God. So we're not operating out of fear. We're just using our intelligence and making sure we are doing what we can to stay safe. If your children, so research your escape plan so you know exactly what to do if under attack from your abuser. If you have children, make sure they practice the escape plan also. So you don't want to frighten your kids, but you want them to have understanding about what you're going to do. And then in that situation, make sure your kids know that you'll protect them with your everything. Even though that person is abusive to you, let your children know that you're not going to let them hurt them. But if that person is abusive to your children, then you got to get out by any means necessary. You cannot allow somebody to physically abuse or emotionally abuse your children at all whatsoever. So it's so important to have an exit strategy to get out of there. Make and memorize a list of emergency contacts. Ask several trusted individuals. You can contact them if you need a ride, like I said, a place to stay, or help contacting the police. Memorize those numbers of your emergency contact, because what happens, abusers go through your personal things. And if you have to stay for now, like I said, here's some stuff you can do. If you decide at this time to stay with your abusive partner, here are some coping mechanisms to improve your situation and to protect you and your children. Contact a domestic violence or sexual assault program in your area. They can provide emotional support, peer counseling, safe emergency housing, information, and other services, whether you decide to stay or leave the relationship. Build a strong support system as your partner will allow. Whenever possible, get involved with people and activities outside your home and encourage your children to do the same. Be kind to yourself. Develop a positive way of looking and talking to yourself. Affirmations are really good to encourage you, to counter the negative comments from your abuser and the things that you tell yourself. I'm not worthy. Sometimes when you've been abused so long, you begin to believe that that person is right and you're wrong. And it's never that. Again, it's them depicting what they feel, placing it on you and making you feel what they feel on the inside, inferior. And so when they can do that successfully, then you begin to have, it's called self-negative talk. So you don't want that. You want to counteract with positive thoughts about yourself. Go in the mirror and say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God has made me in his own image. Those types of things to build up your esteem. There's so many things that you can do. Again, I get a lot of information offline because it's at our disposal. Keep a support system. It doesn't always have to be family. It could be friends, co-workers, people that you trust, that you know are going to keep your confidence, but also look out for you and have your best interests at heart. Make sure, some people get second cell phones. They still have them prepaid cards. Those are good to have. They don't cost a lot of money. They got prepaid cards you can put money on. So you can do that. That can be your escape money. Put some money on a card. You may not be able to use the computer at home. So I won't say use your computer unless you're just looking for information. But again, there are other ways to do some things. And these are just some exit strategies. But make a plan to get out of it eventually. After all of this is over with the corona situation. Our God is bigger than any situation that you will face. And the Bible said there's nothing under the sun that God himself has not experienced, and he will help you get out because he loves you. God loves you. I love you. And I want you to have this information in your arsenal of weapons and tools. I will continue to pray for you all, but you have to have an exit strategy. You don't want to stay in those situations long term. Abuse is not yours. The Bible says that healing is the children's bread. So God wants you healed. He wants you delivered. He wants you set free once and for all. There are many people who are living successful lives after they have gotten out of these situations, and they felt hopeless when they were in them, that they would never get out. But I'm here to tell you, yes, you can get out. Your life can be more happy. You can be safe. Your children can be safe. They can be successful. You need to seek out counseling. You need to make sure your children get counseling, because it's very traumatic to live in the constant state of fear and to be in an abusive situation. But I encourage you today that we are praying for you. There's always somebody praying for your success. I thank God for what he's going to do. Send me your testimonies of praise. Type them into the comments section. Let me know how you got out. Be an encouragement to someone else when you do get out. But in the meantime, know that God will keep you safe, and he loves you so much, and so do I. So we're praying for you to get out. We're praying that God will give you a strategy to get out of that abusive situation and never to return. So I thank you all for listening. I'm praying for everybody to get safely through the situation that we are finding ourselves in this day and time. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity. My name is Lady T, and this is Lady T Speaks TV, where we talk about relationships, but more than that, we give you solutions to get out of bad relationships. And we talk about how you can be more successful in other relationships. All right, shalom.